Hello, and welcome to Hope Ready. I'm your host, Dr. Ellen. With me on this episode is our 14th president, Matt Scogin. We are at the end of our 5th week of the semester. 5 weeks! That means that we're more than a third of the way through. President Scogin, what would you say is at the top of your mind in thinking about getting to the halfway mark of the semester?
Well, thanks, Dr. Ellen. I'm a longtime viewer and a big fan of your show, so it's an honor to be on Hope Ready with Dr. Ellen. This is just the pinnacle of my life, I think. So thanks for having me. We're here. We are, the end of week 5, and I feel good. I think the first thing I would say is I'm just so proud of our students and our faculty and our staff. The dedication to getting us to this point, for me, has been awe-inspiring. I know there's so much work. Our faculty are teaching in modalities that they're not used to, and the amount of work that has gone into that has been Herculean. Our students have shown remarkable commitment to behaving responsibly and doing all the safeguards. And so that to me is the first thing. Is just I'm so proud. I'm so proud of Hope in our community for getting us here, as you said, more than a third of the way through the semester. The second thing that I think I would say, and this has kind of been on my mind, so this may or may not resonate with everyone. I think so much of my mindset has been about getting through this year, getting through this week, getting through this day. And there is, in fact, a very real sense that every week, every day is a milestone, and 5 weeks is a great accomplishment, and we should be proud of that. At the same time, I'm doing my best to not just have the mindset of getting through, but also to have a mindset of let's seize the moment, and let's not just get through it, but let's do our best to live in this day. Psalm 118 says, "This is the day that the Lord has made. Let's rejoice and be glad in it." And so I'm doing my best to live with that kind of mindset, not just about getting through the semester, getting through 2020, but recognizing that this is a day that God made. We're alive, we're breathing, and I want to do my best to live in the moment and not just get through to the next milestone. I think that the third thing I would say as we look ahead, and obviously the road to Thanksgiving and beyond looks long and daunting. And I think the thing I would say there is just an encouragement to continue our steadfast vigilance with regard to adhering to the safeguards, staying 6 feet apart, and our commitment to the daily surveillance testing.
Yeah, speaking of surveillance testing, this week our wastewater surveillance program detected an increased signal in Collin Hall, and that meant that we followed the plan and we tested all of the residents of Collin Hall. Is that the first time that we have actually tested an entire residence hall?
It is, Dr. Ellen. It's the first time we've tested an entire residence hall. So what happened late last week, we know we had a couple of positive cases in Collin Hall. And we also saw that the indicators, as you all know, we're monitoring wastewater from residence halls and residential zones on campus. And so we saw that the indicators in the wastewater from Collin Hall went up. By the way, that's good news because we know we had some positive cases in Collin Hall. And if the indicators in the wastewater had not gone up, that would mean that our wastewater surveillance is not working. And so that didn't happen. The indicators in the wastewater went up. And so we did exactly what we had planned to do. We said all along, when the indicators in the wastewater from a residential hall or residential zone would go up, we would test everyone living in that building or that zone. And so that's exactly what we did. I know there's been some rumors this week that there was an outbreak in Collin Hall. That's not true. It's not an outbreak. In fact, this is how we get on top of it so that we don't have an outbreak. This is exactly what we planned on. We're executing on the plan that we worked so hard over the summer to do. And this is exactly, as you said, Dr. Ellen, this is exactly what we had planned on. And so, first time that we saw that kind of indicator go up, like I said, I viewed it as good news. It means our wastewater monitoring is working. And once we saw that go up, we did exactly what we had always planned on doing, which was to test everyone living in that area.
And so a result of the increased testing might also result in some more positive test results. Is that right?
That's exactly right. And I think it's, again, we've said all along, it's not a matter of if we have cases on campus, but when. And we wanted to be prepared for the reality. We knew we would have positive cases on campus, and we do have some today. We have a manageable number, but we do have some positive cases on campus. And it's quite likely that as we do more testing, we'll have more cases on campus. So I would just encourage everyone, don't be surprised by that. Don't be alarmed by that. Again, we're ready. We're prepared to respond and to get on top of positive cases early and often so that those cases don't turn into a broader outbreak.
And that makes me think of part of our response with quarantine and isolation housing. How is that going right now for us?
Yeah, I would say it's going according to plan. So as our cases have gone up, of course, that means the number of students in quarantine and isolation has also gone up. We have plenty of space available. We set aside a lot of space on campus and off campus for quarantine and isolation housing. And so we're utilizing that, but we're nowhere close to full capacity. So again, it's going according to plan. I'll say that for the students who are in quarantine and isolation, we're thinking of you. I'm praying for you. And we love you. We care for you. And if there's anything I can do or we can do to make that experience as good as possible, please let us know. So yeah, the short answer, Dr. Ellen, is that it's going. All of it's going according to plan, how we planned it over the summer.
That's great to hear. So a couple of days ago, we learned that Ottawa County issued a staying in place order for Grand Valley State University. What does that mean for us here at Hope?
I'll say a couple of things there. First of all, Philinina is the new president of Grand Valley. She and I actually started on the same day last summer. And so she and I have kind of bonded new presidents trying to figure this out together, leading a college through a COVID crisis. And so she and I talk pretty regularly. I've talked to her a couple of times this past weekend. They have a very challenging situation. And I wish her well. I think she's doing a great job. And so I wish them and I wish her well with the challenges that they're trying to manage through now. As you said, Dr. Ellen, there's a stay at home order in place for Grand Valley. For us at Hope, I think a couple of things I would say. First of all, I think it's a good reminder. Again, going back to my first point, it's a good reminder for us to maintain our steadfast vigilance with regard to safeguards and distancing and all the things that we have to do. It's just a good reminder to behave responsibly and to do everything that we're asking you to do. Second of all, I'd ask everyone at Hope, all of our students, to adhere to their stay at home. So that means don't go to Grand Valley. That's it. Simple as that. Don't go to Grand Valley to hang out either on or off campus around the Grand Valley campus. And third of all, don't have anybody from Grand Valley come to Hope. Don't host anyone from their campus here. That will adhere to their stay at home. It will protect them and it will protect us. So it won't be like that forever, but for now, that's what you should do. Don't go to Grand Valley and don't have anyone from Grand Valley come here.
That's great advice. Sometimes when students hear about other schools having to shift mid-semester, they get nervous, and Hope starts getting the question, what would be the trigger point for Hope to take a significant action or shift in the semester?
Yeah, thanks. It's a good question, and I'm glad you raised it because I know it's a question that's on the back of minds, or maybe front of mind for a lot of people. What would happen, or what would be the trigger point for us going to all remote as we had to do in the spring? The real answer is there is no trigger point. It's not like there's an algorithm or a formula, and once we reach a certain level of something, then everything it triggers us into remote learning. The reality is there's a lot of things that we're watching and monitoring closely. Obviously, we're watching the number of positive cases on campus. As I said, we have some positive cases on campus now, but it's a manageable number. We're monitoring our quarantine and isolation space, the capacity of space that we have for quarantine and isolation. We have some students in quarantine and isolation right now, but we're not at capacity and nowhere near so. So we're good there. We're also, of course, monitoring local health conditions and what's going on, not just on our campus, but in our community. And is it safe for us to be here if things were to take a turn in our community? And again, we feel comfortable with regard to what's going on in our community. And then, of course, the last thing is that we're in regular contact with local health officials and with the county health department. And we'll take guidance from them if they were to suggest something. So there's no magic formula. There's no trigger point. There's nothing that would happen that would automatically trigger us to go remote. I think if you look around at what's going on at other places, it's a good reminder that we need to be steadfast in our vigilance with regard to all the health and safety precautions. But I will say, and hopefully this can be a point of encouragement, that I think Hope is one of the best positioned schools in the United States right now. I think I really like our chances of getting through the whole semester without major hiccups. But it will take all of us. It'll take all of us continuing to work together to stay on track for the next 9 weeks. We've got about 9 weeks to go, and we've made it 5 weeks. So we've made it. We've made it this far, and I think we'll get there. But as I said, it will take all of us working together and this steadfast vigilance with regard to responsible behavior and the safeguards.
Great. So we just received the academic calendar for spring 2021 this week, and we'll be starting one day later and ending 1 week earlier, which means that spring break has been removed from the calendar. Can you share a little bit about the reasons for the modification as well as the timing of the decision?
Yeah, thanks. It's a great question. I think I would change your words a little bit and say that spring break hasn't been removed, but rather it's been moved. What we did is we moved spring break to the end of the semester. So the semester will end a week early. You'll still get the same amount of time off, but your spring break will essentially be attached to your summer break. Obviously, the main driving factor there is we want to make decisions that give us the best chance of having the full semester on campus. We don't know. We simply don't know what the world is going to look like in the spring. We have to make decisions now about our spring semester because registration for the spring semester starts in a few weeks. It starts next month in October. So we have to nail down aspects of the schedule now so that we can be ready for registration next month, which means that we're making decisions about the spring based on information we have now. And we simply don't know what the world is going to be like. So we're making decisions about the spring based on what the world is like today. It's quite possible. I'm hopeful. I'm prayerful that the world will be a much more normal place in the spring. But if that's not the case, we want to do our best to have the spring semester in person and to minimize the risk that would be involved with sending all 3,000 students away from campus for a week and then bringing everybody back. So you'll still get the same amount of time off. We'll do in the spring exactly what we've done in the fall, which is take the midwinter break. Normally it's a 4-day weekend in February. We'll take that 4-day weekend and break it up into 2 midweek days off. I loved our break day this week. It was my favorite day of the semester so far. And so we'll get a couple more chances to do that in the spring semester, have some midweek days off. And then of course there's still Easter break. So you'll get Easter Monday and Good Friday off. So you'll have a 4-day weekend there. So still the same amount of time off. It's just been moved around a little bit. And you also, our students will get the longest winter break ever in the history of Hope College. You'll get 6 weeks between Thanksgiving and January 12th. And so there's lots of time there to do interesting and fulfilling things with your time there. So yeah, same amount of break. It's just been moved around a little bit to give us the best chance of completing our semesters in person.
That makes so much sense. Thank you for that. So we're almost out of time. Do you have any last words of wisdom or perspective for us as we head into week 6?
Well, I think I would sort of end as the bookend to where I began, which is just to say thanks. I'm so inspired by all of you and what you've done to get us to this point. As I said, I think we are one of the best positioned colleges in the country right now, and it's thanks to you. It's 100% thanks to all of you and to your dedication to responsible behavior, to our faculty who've stepped up to teach in ways they've never had to do before. So I'm just so proud of our community and so thankful to all of you to getting us where we are. And I do think, and I continue to believe that this year is not just about getting through, but that there are opportunities now to learn and to help shape the world that we're living in. You know, we started this year 2020 with like 2020 vision thinking, and there was this sort of 2020 is going to be the year of perfect vision, and so we were doing kind of all this vision thinking as the year started, and then of course 2.5 months into the year the world turns upside down, and I can't help but come back to that 2020 vision thinking a little bit and wonder if maybe actually what's happened is God has given us 2020 vision. Maybe he has revealed some things to us. He's stripped a lot of things out of our lives. He's shown us some things in our world that are pretty broken and messed up. And maybe it's the case that 2020 is in fact the year of perfect vision. And we don't like it, but maybe God is revealing some things to us about our world that we need to change. And I think that there's an awful lot that we can and should learn in this moment. And so I continue to go back to this idea. It's not just about getting through it. It's about seizing opportunities that we have right now to learn and to help shape our world. And then, of course, Dr. Ellen, I always come back to hope and the ideal that's embedded in our namesake, and that we can be a people of hope, even though this year has been so challenging. And I know the challenges are real. I know there's real hardship and real hurt and real pain. And we're all lamenting the fact that this is not the way this year should be. And there's real pain and real emotion, negative emotions in that, and real suffering in that. At the same time, we can be a people of hope. And that means that we're not denying reality. We're not denying the pain and the suffering that's there. But as a people of hope, we can defy reality, and we can be a people who have this defiant hope, this defiant joy that comes only from God himself. And so I'm doing my best to continue to remind myself to keep that mindset. Hope. It's about hope.
Thank you so much. I just always feel inspired when I listen to you, and I get a reboot on my level of joy and gratitude for this place we call hope. So I just want to thank you for that, President Scogin, and I hope that we can continue in our journey of being hope ready. Thanks so much.
Thanks so much. Thanks for having me on, Dr. Ellen.